I am Caroline Hill. I'm Editor-in-Chief of Legal IT Insider, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Dawn Hudgins, who is VP of Service Delivery for ILTA, and Beth Stuebe, who's Director of Publications and Press for ILTA. Hi Dawn. Hi, Beth Ann.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good, yes. We're in the final countdown now, aren't we, for the conference?
We are. We're getting very close.
So thanks for joining me. It's been a while, so obviously we caught up a while ago, just as you were just about to open up tickets for ILTA, so it's been quite a while. So I'm sure that a lot has moved on, and I know that people are really curious to sort of catch up in terms of logistics, and it's been a year like no other. So I think this is going to be hopefully really helpful to people, both attendees and vendors, in terms of what they can expect and anything that they might need to be aware of in advance, and this will be circulated widely. This is being circulated today on the Terra TV. So just first of all, how has it been, just in general terms, how has it been organising, because it's a hybrid event for the first time, how's it been organising a hybrid event?
Well, I would say that it is extremely difficult. And what we have tried to do, we have learned is not typical. So we are truly trying to make one conference with one set of education, come across on both platforms. And a lot of organizations that are doing the hybrid events are actually doing one set that's hybrid and the other set that's in person or digital and in person, and they're not crossing paths. So we have 3 streaming rooms, which will be producing 5 streaming sessions per day, which will be in person and digitally, which gives us 15 streaming sessions a day. And then we have 2 rooms that'll just be doing the audio recording, just as we have done in the past when it comes to our education side. All of our keynotes, all of our company updates, even a portion of some of our socials will all be live streamed. So if you are attending digitally, you can feel the presence of people around and the energy, and we're hoping that comes across well. We have a great new digital platform, which is an improvement over ILTA On, and we are extremely excited about that. Actually, we're really excited about that. There's great interaction, a lot of communication that can take place. So it should be really good.
Interesting. Well, what are you using? Are you able to say what are you using for your platform? I think everyone's been struggling. I mean, we actually had a different conversation about this, right, in terms of what platform to use. So what have you gone for?
Yeah. If you had asked me that a few minutes ago, I probably could have told you. But I can't tell you the name of it at the moment because my mind just went blank.
It's been really interesting because our we're the International Legal Technology Association. It's one of the things that we love. We love touching the tech, and our great staff is doing a huge lift internally to make sure that our hybrid and our in-person pieces kind of talk a little bit more than they have in previous versions, and certainly across some platforms that you don't normally see. So there's going to be some hidden gems in them. There's going to be a little bit of a kind of a piece that didn't correlate as well for ILTA On. We wanted to build off of that. So what we had for ILTA On was great. We were pleased with it as our first version of it. But this is completely different. What we do here on this virtual platform, we've taken a platform and now we're just adding to it. And our staff is doing a lot of the legwork. We have an incredible IT staff. So that's a huge shout out to our team that they've taken almost the last year to think about this in a different way. It really is a revamping and a reimagining of the way a hybrid takes you from being on site to having that education. And if we didn't have that, this conference wouldn't work.
Yeah. So all of this, do you know what? I was going to come on to talk about content, but actually I just, while we might as well talk about it now, because so one of the things I really struggle with online conferences is that so a lot of them go recorded, right? So there's actually a sense that you don't really need to be there, and you know that the content will be available down the line, and you really don't feel like you're there, do you? But so all of the sessions are live, are they, for that, in terms of the virtual sessions?
There's an incredible amount, as Dawn said. We have 3 session rooms that are streaming live every day of the conference.
Okay, fine, yeah.
Within those 3 rooms, there's 5 educational sessions per day. So there's 15 live educational sessions over the week, and the rest are being recorded. Okay. There's a lot of information coming backward out. Dawn, do you want to talk a little bit about how we thought about looking at this as kind of a reimagining of that hybrid versus in person?
Sure. One of the things that we wanted to make sure we didn't do is have the traditional just Zoom webinar that people have been attending for the last 18 months. This will actually give you that experience of switching. So if you're familiar with recording and that type of thing, we have multiple cameras set up in our streaming rooms. You'll be able to get different sides. You'll be able to zoom in on the action that's taking place. You're going to really feel like you're there. More so than what you've experienced in the last 18 months with just Zoom. That type of technology is going to work well for us. We have an experienced production crew that has been working on perfecting this, and so they're the ones who are helping us out and making sure that this goes across seamlessly. Our platform, which I couldn't remember a moment ago, is Boomset. And so they have really taken the game to another level to make sure that all those little things, the chat features, the ability to ask questions, to see things from different angles, to see what other people are wanting to engage in regarding that conversation taking place and be involved in. And then after the sessions, we still have some of the ILTA on features where we were able to have hosting little rooms where people can go in and chat about those sessions afterward. So you're still getting that networking opportunity post-event. As Beth Ann said, we have 15 streaming per day over the 4 days. And that includes our keynotes. We have some great keynote sessions during the week, starting the week off with Dr. Mae Jemison, which we are very excited about having, and ending the week with a CIO wrap-up. So we're going to be taking a deep dive into what 2022 and beyond will be looking like from the standpoint of some of the CIOs from our largest firms across the globe.
Interesting. Well, I might come back if we've got time to ask you some more about the specific content, but that sounds great. That sounds like the sort of thing that I'm definitely interested in. So in terms of, so that's great that it's going to be interactive. How is it panning out? So this is such a, I imagine, it's interesting you say it's a big challenge, and I'm not surprised. I think trying to have this sort of hybrid in-person event, given that ILTA has been traditionally so much about the in-person, right? Like, and I know that, but there's not an option this year to have, and I know going forward as well that you very much feel like virtual is the way forward. So we can come back to that bit as well. But so have you? What have been the key challenges, would you say? And have people been more hesitant to travel than you expected? Because when we first spoke, I was like, the tickets are going to go on sale and everyone's going to be, jamming that. But actually, for me, it's been slower for people to feel I'm not coming, and I always come, but I will be joining you virtually. Has it been a slower burn in terms of things opening up than you thought it would? Or not?
I'm not sure that we thought it would. We did a lot of travel surveys periodically leading up to opening up our registration. So we had a good idea that there would be key points where it would be opening up, and it seems to be following that timeline. Over the weekend, we had a rush of registrations, and with registration closing July 31st for in-person, we expect a big week. For those to continue coming in.
Okay.
For us, the conference has always been about participation, the participatory effect of this. We wanted to make sure that we were mimicking between the virtual session and the on-site parts, because we are a family. We talk about being a family. We talk about how the education has to work together with all of the other pieces. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing on site for some of our kind of fun events. But the pieces of this all had to work together for us. And we did 4 travel surveys, as Dawn said. We were trying to figure out a better way forward to move us safely back together. And we think we've done that. We think we figured out a way to kind of make sure that there are the precautions that we need, but the participation and the education pieces of this have to work, or the conference itself doesn't work. And we've done that. Dawn's team has put together some amazing programming, and we're pretty excited to have people come back together safely. But also we understand that this isn't off year. It's going to change a little bit as we continue moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I hope this week is, as you say, it's a big week. What can people look forward to in terms of when they're there? So, actually, first of all, let's talk about logistics. I guess this is the thing that a lot of people probably want to know, first of all. So how is it going to work? Are you able to talk numbers in terms of like that? Because initially, I know you had to cut numbers down a lot. I wondered how those numbers have panned out in terms of number of vendors, number of conference guests, like just roughly, or are we able to sort of know what roughly where you've ended up?
So I can tell you that prior to the weekend, where we had a flux of registrations coming in, we were just under 1,000 attendees for the event, which is, for our original goal, that was right on target. We did extend our goal later, but that is right about where our original goal was.
Okay.
So we felt
is that both? That's vendors and guests.
That's a combination of all. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you manage? I mean, I guess with the smaller numbers, it makes it more reasonable in terms of logistics. But how are you going to manage it? Initially, you'd thought through a lot about the hotel and checking in and it being much more digitized. And how are things like that panning out? Where are you at in terms of? I mean, I guess you're practically there, but where are you at with logistics? And what can people think about in advance? So
I'm sure you're aware that the state of the country changes literally day by day at this moment. So we will be looking at that going right up until the time the conference opens. We have planned a very scalable safety plan that we will be also working with the government in Vegas to make sure that we comply with what they feel are the most safest protocols possible. The hotel itself has a touchless check-in system, which is great. And so there'll be videos and things coming out a little bit later. We have a session on Wednesday, August 11th to talk a little bit more about know before you go so that you're completely prepared. Some things make it easier, like making sure you have the apps downloaded before you arrive. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting in the lobby downloading the apps and prepping. But having done the touchless check-in, it's really great. I actually am excited that this is where the entire industry is going forward. So that makes that nice. We are requiring that all participants for ILTACON to be vaccinated. We have asked that if you feel comfortable uploading that digital file, that you can do that to vax@iltanet.org. If you would rather just show us that when you come on site, there will be a line that you go through to show your vaccination prior to going into check-in for ILTACON. And if people do not have and cannot show verification of their vaccinations, they will not be able to enter ILTACON. And it's really important. It's really important and becoming more important. The hotel staff at Mandalay Bay, it's mandatory for them to wear masks. The cleaning regimen is extremely severe, and so everything should be sparkling clean. The hotel has the best air handling system. I never thought I would talk about air handling systems, but the best air handling system on the market, which means everything gets filtered through before it's released back out into the hotel. So from that perspective, it makes it really safe. Obviously, there are people visiting Vegas that have nothing to do with our conference, and we have no ability to change how they move or move about the hotel. However, they're not welcome onto our floor. And for those who are traveling to the floor above and do have to walk through, we have special areas where they can only go to get to the next level so that we can keep our attendees as safe as we possibly can throughout the entire conference. iManage is providing wrist bracelets in red, yellow, and green to say, hey, if it's green, I am welcoming hugs and I have no social distancing problems. Or if it's yellow, keep your distance and ask permission. Or if it's red, just stay away. I'm here for the education only. And so those will be given out when people register.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So we have a lot of things that are going on to make sure that people have a safe and I don't even want to use completely safe, because some of this is how we feel, right? Because we're coming back out into the public for the first time in a long time with so many people. And we want people to be comfortable, not only safe, but to feel comfortable in their own skin about the decisions that they make about, re-engaging in society again.
We know it's a lot. We're asking people to come back together to learn and grow. And every safety measure we're taking, our staff is taking as well. We're going through the same process. We're asking to engage back together, and we're engaging with the hotel. So all of this is working together to create that kind of participatory educational environment. Whatever we do on the safety side and on the fun side has to be reflected on the educational side.
Okay, that's interesting. And so that's for the sessions, and that sounds like that's very well organised in terms of allowing people to. I like the idea of people not being able to get on the floor in the bracelets. That's quite a cool idea. I've not heard of that. I would be green. Anyway, but then in terms of let's talk about. So that's, I guess that counts for the booths. Let's talk a bit more about the exhibit hall, because obviously you've got the educational track. A lot of people will have been to ILT and be able to visualize, and it's just huge, the hotel. That's the first thing, especially being from the UK. I'd never seen anything like it. But so then you get that takes you to the educational sessions, but then you've obviously got the exhibit hall specifically, where I guess you've probably had to space it more out and that kind of stuff, and have a bit more, perhaps organization in terms of how people move through that as well, I guess.
Yeah. So let's talk about the entire business partner side. So from the exhibit hall side, you will notice a big change from the past. So when you have a booth, whether it's a 10 by 10 or 10 by 20, there will be a 10 by 10 space between you and the next booth. So it extends our footprint on the show floor a little bit, but it keeps people a little safer with distancing and allowing for them to move about more freely a little better. Each of our business partners who are exhibiting with booths will have signs on their booths that are called solution pavilion paths. And basically, these are 7 different areas of expertise that business partner offers. So if you're going through the exhibit hall and you're looking for practice management tools, you'll be able to see very quickly what business partners offer practice management tools or litigation support tools, or the other 7 that happen to be. New this year, we are having the ILTACon Cafe in the back portion of the exhibit hall. That is where you will go and have your lunch. So it'll be right there on the exhibit floor, and that means there'll be a lot more energy in that exhibit hall. And the distancing between the front doors when you come in to when you first, experience the booths is a little further than normal. That's allowing for more social distancing, just so that we're making sure that we're being safe. Yeah. So on Sunday, this is new for us. So on Sunday, typically our show really doesn't start until we have our opening recession on Sunday night. But we have our community of interest groups that'll be having gatherings on Sunday afternoon. And our demo rooms actually open on Sunday this time too, so people can start engaging with our business partners a little earlier.
Our hub is open too. We're open early. Everything is, we're gonna jumpstart on. We're excited to be back. So, Dawn, we can talk a little bit about those kind of demo rooms and our collaboration kickoffs as well. Then we've got a bunch of stuff on Sunday happening.
Yeah, by all means, jump in. This is us chatting, so just jump in. So tell me about that.
So our collaboration kickoffs will take place mid-afternoon on Sunday, and they will be an opportunity for people of like mind or having specific interests to gather together, socialize a little bit before they jump into the week and rekindle some relationships, get to meet some new people. And this will be right before our orientation, which will be not only for on-site, but we have digital orientation as well, so that you can understand how to navigate this new application that most people probably aren't familiar with, which will be good. And then that'll carry us into our social time in the evening on Sunday, which will just be some old-fashioned networking with some good food, some great music, and some wonderful people.
You still going to do the fancy dress, or does that have to go this year?
I don't know that we're going to be doing fancy dress. Honestly, I haven't thought that far ahead. Iltons seem to dress very comfortably when they come to ILTACon, and we do welcome that, as always.
You did tell us to pack our pajamas, though.
I did tell you to pack your pajamas. Yes.
I quite like having the vendors having to dress up in all of the silly stuff at the beginning. How will you manage? So, that everything that you've talked about has always had some structure. I like the idea of having more stuff going on in the exhibit hall, and actually that becoming, because for vendors, I think it's really important that there's, a lot of traffic being directed there, because in some of the issues, there's so much going on outside. So it's good that there's more going on there. But with the social, so how do you maintain, I mean, you're not always responsible directly for the socials, but I guess you've had to presumably get involved in terms of how it happens and how you you maintain some kind of control. Tell me what's happening about that, both for your own socials and perhaps helping vendors to keep people safe.
Well, our vendors are following a lot of the same protocols that we are when it comes to their socials. We did give them this year Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night to follow through with whatever small gatherings or receptions that they would like to host, and they are doing that. We have additionally provided, Zero is actually sponsoring all of our comedy. They're responsible for our laughter during ILTACon. And so we have some great comedians coming in on Tuesday night, Wednesday night. That will be digital, but there'll be a place on site in person for you to view that digitally as well. And then Thursday, where we have our closing reception, they have a comedian there as well. They'll be live in Vegas, but we'll be streaming that live so that everyone can participate. Extremely excited about that. And with I just want to touch a little bit on our business partners as well, because there's several things we're doing new for them. They have master classes that are going on site, but digitally as well. They have Ask the Expert sessions. I think it's really important to take a look at what people are bringing to the table this year. They've been chatting up with our members, and a lot of people are collaborating together to create new solutions and to reimagine current solutions in our new workplace as it happens to be. So that's really exciting as well. And on Monday evening, we also have a virtual's not the word I'm supposed to use, a digital and in-person networking experience. We'll be doing speed networking. So if you are sitting in the comfort of your own home, you can get to know people who are there in person. And so we are excited about that. That's a little challenging from a technology standpoint, but we're extremely excited to try this for the first time, because this could be something really great going forward, especially with us having such an international reach and wanting to make the globe a much smaller and smaller place as we go along.
We wanted to kind of stress as one of the things that we were looking at when we looked at doing this as a digital and an in-person event, that we wanted to figure out ways to tie people back to each other. All of our education has always been about, kind of learning and growing your networks. But there's some pieces for this time that we're going to be doing live or streaming that we've never done before. This is an opportunity for us to try some new stuff, to get people involved who haven't been involved. We're going to be using social media in new and interesting ways. And we're going to be tying back things like, just our events. It's an interesting idea to be able to sit in the same room with someone across the globe, if you will. We want the idea that we're sitting next to each other, not across a computer from each other.
I think that's going to be fun. And I'm glad that you've done that, because I know that when we first spoke that was something that you were looking at. And I can't really visualize. I guess we probably shouldn't spend too long on this, but that's one of the things that I think would be really cool. So are there like sort of booths where people can get together and there's like a just tell me a tiny bit more just quickly about how that's going to work for people that are there, because I think those kind of things do bring some fun, right? The sort of the live, the slightly unpredictable. Obviously you're going to have to, these things, as you say, rely on all the tech working, so cross fingers for that. But tell me just briefly how that's going to work for people there or people at home.
Sure. So if you're doing if you're involved in the speed working portion of it, we have tables set up where you would any traditional speed working, where you're across from one another. Well, sometimes when you sit down, the person that you're across from will be on an iPad, and we'll just be seeing their face. So it's almost like they're there, but they're not literally there in person. So that's exciting. So we're looking forward for trying that, and hopefully it'll work.
They're watch parties. I mean, this is going to be fun. This is the idea of sitting down with, grabbing a friend and sitting down and having a conversation, but with somebody in Brazil and you're in Vegas, or someone in Australia and you're in Germany. The idea that we can have these conversations and we're all watching the same thing. We're all learning from the same, either speaker or moderator, or laughing together at a comedian.
Yeah, no, that sounds really fun. How, with vendors, so obviously, how do you make sure, you've talked about the business partners, I guess I call them vendors, you call them business partners. So how do you make sure for vendors that you're providing the sort of the value, because obviously, I think it's really interesting. It'll be really interesting to see going forward. I guess you want people to continue attending in person, right? Although we're trying to encourage it's much more inclusive to have more people attending virtually, but you don't want to do that at the expense of people attending together. How do you make sure that, you're really connecting people that are there, or open, making sure that there's value for people that are attending, so that it doesn't become all virtual, which I think would be a shame.
It would be a shame, because one of the things that you can never replicate is the power of networking in person.
Yeah.
And you can't, as much as we have tried. And I think we have learned so much in the last 18 months about what can be replicated and what cannot. And the power of in-person will always be there. And so with this particular conference, as much as we're trying to connect people digitally and in person, because, we still have to do that with this particular year. As we go forward, making sure that we provide opportunities for the business partners to connect with our members, asking the right questions, giving them a scenario where they can go in and talk about what's new and what's different, and where the market's going and where the trends are going, and how that could affect the firms. Our business partners have a great wealth of knowledge about not only all things technical, but also where the technology is moving. That's invaluable information. It makes them the experts. And so providing them that opportunity to build those relationships with our members will always be a priority.
So you don't think there's a risk with I would always want to attend in person, right? Like, being in the UK, travel is just a nightmare, and just not going to. But going forward, I would always be there. But do you think there's a risk with having the virtual element, that some people will just go, oh, well, we're just going to do virtually? Or do you think that us being us, we're always just going to say that, hopefully, I just wondered how you think it will pan out. I would worry slightly that if there's a virtual option, some people might go, well, you have to do it virtually.
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I do think that's a good question. But I will say, from everything that I have heard and watched over the last year, especially since April, when we were really moving forward with ILTACON, is the value of the person-to-person and the networking and the interactions that you get from being in person. I don't see that going away. We have no intention of taking ILTACON all virtual at all. There are things that work well just virtually. This is one of those things that it works best when you're in person. And I think you can see over the last 40 some years, the relationships that have built from attending ILTACON, that people not only value it, but they cherish that time and those relationships, and what that has done from them from a professional standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint. Yeah. So ILTACON is in person. We'll, as long as the health of our nation and the world allow us, we will be in person, at least for this large event going forward.
Yeah. But we do want to stress that we are incredibly thrilled to be able to have the option for people to join us digitally. It's an inclusive conversation as well, and we want to make sure that everyone has the equitable chance to join us.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it sounds like, you've really sort of paved the way, and I agree with you. I don't think so. So I think, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all works out, and certainly it sounds like it's a lot more live and interactive, which I think is the key thing, And, I agree with you completely that going forward, the in-person thing, having been opened up here more, there's nothing like going and sitting at lunch with somebody and immediately the conversation starts, flowing. That's who we are, right? So I really hope as well that people still continue to, very much attend and that, next year we'll be able to, get together in bigger numbers because, that's obviously also where it becomes really valuable for the, everybody. So tell me lastly, so you've mentioned obviously the keynote. I don't know if you want to say any more about that in the last couple of minutes, but I know the CIO session you mentioned talking about 2022. So what else is, George, I don't know if you want to say more about the keynote, or what can people look forward to in terms of the content?
So for the keynote, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Dr. Mae Jemison. She is quite a powerhouse and has not only great credentials, but has been an inspiring figure for years. So I know people are going to want to tune in, listen to her, hear what she has to say, as not only from a technology standpoint and for the first woman of color in space, and that's just one of her many credentials, and there are many credentials that she brings to the table, and that'll be fantastic. Net Documents is doing a keynote, as well as traveling coaches, and then of course our CIO wrap up on Thursday, which will be fantastic, knowing that they've been discussing going forward with what we can expect in law firms and the changes and how things are going. So that should be great as well.
Yeah, that should be really great. Well, look, I think I'm really wish you the best with this all. And I know it's we're in final countdown, so we can put a link to you. And I know you remind me, so it was the 11th of August. You're doing another webinar, hey? So so anybody wanting to sort of clarify any further details, jump into Dawn's webinar. But other than that, I'm sorry I'm not going to be there. I will be crying, but I'm sure you have lots of people there. So I wish you all the best with it. And thank you so much for going through all of that with me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.